Well, PSA's changed their prices again. I'll let you know how this affects you next. Hey guys, welcome back. No history lesson today. We'll save that for another day. Actually, kind of breaking news today. PSA has raised prices on some of their value levels as well as handling time for your cards. They just announced it today. This kind of rides on what they talked about yesterday of adding a new facility in Frankfurt, Germany. And I don't know if that's to handle cards from the US or European cards. It may be centric to European cards. But anyways, what had happened is the prices were raised, and looking at my little cheat sheet here, bulk value went up $2, and value goes up $3, and value plus up $5. So add that on top of additional handling time that they added on top of this. This goes into effect tomorrow, the 25th, like I mentioned. So it'll be interesting how collectors, take this news. The fact that they did raise the prices begs the question, will this affect how people contribute to PSA for grading cards? The interesting part is this doesn't affect the TCG cards like the Pokemon or the Magic the Gathering, some of those other ones. It's just sports cards right now. So it'll be interesting how the hobby handles this, if they just take it as another increase and go on. I mean, it seems like we all do complain about PSA and their pricing and how much handling time it takes for your cards to get back. But we still use them because guess what? They give the most value back to your card. I know this, for instance, at the Nationals, I bought a 1984 Don Mattingly. It was just for a collection. And I saw only 3 copies at the Nationals. One was a CGC and they wanted $60 for it, or they wanted 70. I got them down to 60 and I bought that. I did see 2 other ones. They were both PSAs, same grade. I think one was an 8 and one was a 7 maybe. And both of those were well over $100, like 120, 130 they wanted for those. So, will people push back for that? I don't know. And especially with, in the recent months, the change in path for SGC, where they've kind of given that idea that they're niche and they're not for every card. It's more the vintage that they'll do. They'll do them all, but their handling times have certainly slowed down as well. So I don't know. And we do have the fact that we heard that, PSA says they are increasing the space and the grading capabilities in their Florida facility, as well as I believe one in Texas. They were either opening or going to open in 2026 for more grading. So does that bring down the times for cards to be sent back to hobbyists who have sent them away? We'll see about that. But will we ever go back down and lower in price? I don't know. History kind of tells us that when things go up in price, very seldom do they come down in this kind of arena. So I don't foresee prices ever going down. But will they stay stable and the same for longer than 9 months? I believe we had the last update was in January, where they raised the prices for some of their other things. So we'll see how that goes. Also, I know that they did raise prices on their dual services by a few dollars, as you can see. But that would do with, autograph / grading of the card. So those have been added too, along with, I believe, handling times for those particular services as well. So this does affect a huge gamut of the services that PSA offers. Now, I know some of those that weren't touched were the very, very high-end ones. And obviously, I guess, when you're paying that much for a card, I don't think any kind of, that service is obviously not utilized as much as the value services. So where do you go to affect the most money? That would go to the services you use the most, or that you offer that are used the most. And I imagine in this particular instance, it would be PSA's value line of services, which is having the increase. Now, me personally, how does that affect me? It doesn't, honestly. I haven't had a card graded in quite some time. And actually, the last time I had some cards graded was probably a year ago. I received a random I don't know if you call it promo card from PSA for $100 off. So obviously I jumped on that. And you're saying, really, is that scam? No, I used the card. I got $100 off of that. I've never seen a promo like that since. Yeah, so I don't have a PSA membership, so that may be perhaps why I don't receive that anymore. But prior to that, I hadn't used them until right before or right around COVID time. So to me personally, it doesn't affect me. Now, will that affect the cards that you see at the card shows and at your local dealership that have PSA slabs? Will they increase their prices to accommodate these updates? Now, I know it's only a few dollars, but a lot of people, you get into the bulk submissions and the value submissions, you're talking $5 more. Will that increase the submitters that maybe people use? Will their prices go up to compensate for these updates? I mean, we see prices going up with everything, and obviously packs, retail, hobby, any kind of retail wax is going up. So it only makes, not sense, but it doesn't surprise that then PSA has raised their prices. So we'll see how this affects, the prices going forward and down the road and into next year, into some of the card shows, your dealerships, eBay, online, how that affects it. Will there be an increase in prices? Right now, the hobby's hot. So they're going to hit when the hobby's hot because they are the card company that everybody uses. If you can see here, their prices are way, way better as far as resale if you're going to flip a card or sell a card than the others, CGC or even SGC. And, some of the smaller ones, Beckett, those services. So I don't know if we'll see, a change, or will we just eat it and jack the prices up on other cards? That remains to be seen. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this update. I wanted to get it out there, let you know what prices have increased. You can read some articles from other companies about more detail. You can go to PSA's website and check out what they've said, about they tried to make it sound, a little more diplomatic, I guess, about just with so many cards. And I realize they have so many cards. But the diplomatic about the increase in time, increase of power, manpower they need that they need to raise prices. But what are your thoughts? Leave a comment down below. Let me know how you feel. Let's get a discussion going on this. Does it affect you? Does it not affect you? Is it just that's the way it is? Or have you moved away from PSA and moved to other card graders? Or you're not even worried about graded cards anymore. You're just a collector. If it's raw, that's what I want. Let me know. So I appreciate you guys watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Check out my other videos. Subscribe. And you know what? We'll see you next time as we go beyond the cardboard.